Hello Internet, and welcome to a very special video. You'll probably notice that the place looks a little different, and that's because we're in between productions at the moment, and also I still haven't found a home, so we've had to temporarily retire to the construct. It's very plain. We very recently hit the 6k subscribers milestone, which is absolutely nuts. So now there's a decent amount of you guys, I thought we should make an effort to get to know each other a little better, and so I asked you to pose me some questions, so that you could learn things about me and I could try and figure out exactly what kind of community we're establishing here. I was quite nervous about what I'd open myself up to after seeing the level of intellect displayed in Memulus's recent Q&A, but thank God you guys are actually rational human beings with active brains, a good sense of humour, and the ability to form coherent sentences. I'm very proud of every single one.
Does you is homosexualoid?
Okay, well, maybe not all of you. But that's fine, I can take a 99% success rate. So I guess we should start somewhere near the beginning. I've always had a keen interest in movies, from a childhood obsession with rewatching the same VHS tapes over and over again until they stopped working, all the way up to choosing my university degree, which was film production at a university in London. However, the course I enrolled on turned out to not be particularly engaging or useful. I realised very quickly that the fart-sniffing art house cinema we were being forced to work with really didn't appeal to me at all. And so I very quickly found other ways to productively spend all the free time I had now acquired. And I learned more in a single day working on set than I did in a year of sitting in a classroom discussing the significance of a cornfield. The production I was on was for a TV show which was subsequently and thankfully cancelled. It was really very dreadful. I'd even say more appalling than the productions we've laughed at in videos on this channel. But going to university did grant me the huge advantage of being able to move away from my little hometown in the Midlands, which was revolutionary for me as a creative. So while I was avoiding fart-sniffing class, I was either on set at the various freelance running jobs I'd found, getting paid full to be treated like a twat and have all my ideas stolen with no credit, running around Shoreditch at 3 AM on a Sunday trying to find somewhere to purchase a Diet Coke for some Z-list celebrity or I was locked away in my room teaching myself to edit and animate, or I was just pissed out of my face on spiced rum in the ashtray of a house that I lived in, although my tastes have matured since then and I'm more of a Bourbon boy now.
Interesting fact number 1!
The lounge set, which is seen in the earliest videos on this channel, was based on the lounge from my house at university, which is why there's a traffic cone in there. All of these experiences helped to enrich me in a variety of ways, and after 3 long years of running myself into the ground, I was charged hard cash to rent a stupid hat and attend a ceremony where I was given some kind of important document that I've definitely already lost somewhere. I took a substantial chunk of my student loan and decided to purchase some essential equipment: camera, lenses, microphone, rubber fish, lights, and decided to use the knowledge I'd gained from my days of working on set to start up my own independent production company, creating some promotional content for local businesses, unsigned bands and musicians, and music festivals. And after being royally over by some absolute pig, I strayed away from the music industry and focused more on animation, using the money I'd earned to gather more tools: laptop, hard drives, headphone, graphics tablet, etc., and was soon picked up by a certain entertainment company. I worked with them for a couple of years, creating promotional content for a variety of their properties, which was mostly a frustrating process due to the swathes of clueless twats under their employ, the insurmountable bureaucracy of their internal processes, and the complete absence of any cross-departmental communication. And so, rather than chucking myself in front of a train, I decided to go and work for a different entertainment company, which very fortunately turned out to be a move in the right direction. There was still a lot of red tape and a sense of detachment from the bosses, but generally the morale was much higher, and there were even people in the building that actually knew what they were doing, which was reassuring. So I'd never formally studied or been taught animation. I've always just had a great interest in it, and am completely self-taught. I've been creating all sorts of weird and wonderful musings over the years, most of which I'd just throw on Instagram and that would be the end of it. My earliest creations as a child were done on my family computer. I didn't have any software to edit with back then and only had access to a mouse to draw with, so I'd just draw individual frames in MS Paint and watch them by flicking through them in preview. I've never actually shown these to anyone, and they're pretty weird to look back on now, so please come with me as we take a dive into the mind of a 9-year-old who's been heavily inspired by stickdeath.com. This here's a little DVD that I'd made myself. I designed this cover and printed it out and saved all of my animations onto this CDR. Yeah. So as you can see, it's a double disc feature purely because I forgot to save all of them onto this first disc, even though there was plenty of space, because all that's on here is just a bunch of tiny bitmaps. And it's rated 18, obviously, because it's really extreme stuff. So we're not going to have time to go through all of these, because there's loads, but I just kind of picked a few of my favourites just to quickly look at. One of my first creations was called Rock Face, which was just a series of animations of a stick man falling off a cliff to his bloody demise. And I just want to point out that my wordplay has been on point since I was 9 years old, because not only does rock face literally mean a bare vertical surface of natural rock, but it's also referring to the fact that this man is smashing his face into a cliffside. Some other notable works are the superhero adaptations I made, like The X-Blokes and Spider-Bloke, both of which are loosely based on the original Marvel movies, but obviously mine are a little bit more violent. And then there's just a whole torrent of stupid fight scenes in a variety of different locations and just loads of stuff that just doesn't make any sense at all. Like this one where a man smokes a cigarette and then is just ravaged to death by a squirrel. Or this one where another man litters and then is just ripped in half by gnomes. But yeah, so that's where I started. One of my earliest and longest standing inspirations is David Firth, who you might know from his eerie, nightmarish series Salad Fingers. Most people would probably cite this as their favourite of his works, but I'd like to urge all of you to look a little deeper and check out videos like Health Reminder or The Child That Smelt Funny. He has some truly hilarious and disturbing work that a lot of people overlook. I very recently acquired a copy of Umbilical World, which is a feature-length collection of his works, and I'm very glad I managed to get my hands on a copy. I've always thoroughly enjoyed his creations as they perfectly cater to the more gross and bizarre side of my interests, which is undoubtedly inspired by the cartoons I used to watch as a child, like Rocko's Modern Life, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Invader Zim, Cow and Chicken, SpongeBob, and Ren and Stimpy, including all the comics I used to collect and somehow still have in my possession, which is quite telling that I still have comics from over 20 years ago, but I have no idea where my degree is. Other creators and animators I'm particularly fond of include Chad Van Garlen, Felix Colgrave, Syriac, Lee Hardcastle, Michael Cusack, and Cool 3D World. Anything that has a disturbing or nihilistic undertone to it. I love being made to feel emotionally uncomfortable by things, and all of these creators perfectly hit the nail on the head for me. I've also taken a great deal of inspiration from channels of the bygone era of YouTube, like John Tron, H3, I Hate Everything, Yahtzee, How To Basic, iDubbbz, Max Mofo, Filthy Frank TV. You know the ones, the good ones, before YouTube started forcibly diluting everything to the point that we end up with Will Smith speaking on our behalf. Entitled prick.
Interesting facts number 2.
I attended the same high school as Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation. So I'd known that I'd wanted to start a YouTube channel for many years, but for one reason or another, mostly because I was scared of what people would think, I neglected to actually finish or release anything. One of the earliest incarnations of this channel was called Confessions of a Crummy Kid. I wanted to create an animated storytime channel where I could recount all of the crazy things that happened throughout my years of debauchery in college and university to my time working within the film and TV industry. The idea was to solidify these memories now, to preserve them for my future self, but also to share what I'd learnt with other people and hopefully entertain them at the same time. I was mostly afraid that people wouldn't believe the stories I have to tell, as lots of them are absolutely ridiculous, and quite honestly, I wouldn't believe them if you told me. So I decided to give it a miss. I'm certain my memories and experiences will slowly seep through in my work anyway, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunity for me to explain things in a bit more detail in the future. I knew that if I was ever going to have the confidence to talk about something at length, then it would have to be related to films or gaming, as these have been two of my lifelong major interests, and I have a reasonable amount of experience and knowledge on these topics, both personally and professionally. I've been through many different phases, but I'd say my favourite film genre is most likely a psychological thriller, and my favourite directors are Christopher Nolan, Darren Aronofsky, Park Chan-wook, Wes Anderson, David Fincher, Gaspar Noé, the Coen brothers, P.T. Anderson, and Nicholas Winding Refn, who are all very hit and miss, but generally speaking have produced some of the finest and most emotionally engaging movies that I've ever seen. When it comes to gaming, I guess I'd have to say my favourite game of all time is Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which is a masterpiece and I won't hear anything different. My tastes have changed through the generations of gaming, but I'd say I'm most likely to spend my time playing RPGs. The only notable outlier from this is Halo 3, which I played every single day for years, and it provided the best online multiplayer experience I've ever had. I'd lug my TV and Xbox down the road to my friend's house where we could all set up next to each other, and fueled by the godlike elixir that is Lucozade Orange, we'd play for days on end, ranking up dummy accounts to level 50 to sell online to filthy casuals. I don't profess to be the best at Halo 3, but I'd probably beat you, so whatever. Now it's time for the quickfire round, where I attempt to battle my way through the entirely random questions that I couldn't fit neatly into this video anywhere. Is pee really stored in the balls? Yes. Is water truly wet? Yes, and I found some irrefutable evidence.
This water's all wet.
I dare you to argue with Paw Patrol. Did Thanos really do anything wrong? No, I think he should click his fingers again. A trap's gay. I don't really agree with the use of that word, but if you're referring to transsexuals, then no, not inherently. There isn't any correlation between physical gender characteristics and sexuality. Are you a leftist? No, I'm more of a radical centre. What would be your ideal political or economic system? I don't think there is a single system that can appease the needs of everybody, but I strongly believe in the introduction of a universal basic income. If you don't know what that is, then I strongly suggest that you read Utopia for Realists by Rutger Bregman. It really is very insightful and interesting. Any plans after you die? Yeah, get some sleep. Do you like turtles? Yes. Have you read my book? No. P.S. Love your work. Thanks. Do you love me? No. What are your thoughts on the new Detective Pikachu movie? Do you think it'll be bad? Yes, it's a video game movie. They're all terrible. Don't at me. What's your favourite TV show? If we're going classic, it's probably going to have to be something like Fawlty Towers, but if you want something more contemporary, I'd say Kenny vs. Spenny, Nathan For You, or It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Have you seen any of the Godzilla films? Yes. The 1954, the 1998, and the 2014. They were all Is Doge basically bread now? I have no idea what this means. If you were a cell, would you rather be prokaryote? I have no idea what this means. What's your opinion on egg? I think it's the perfect item to offer somebody in a trying time. Can jet fuel melt through steel beams? No, but it can burn at a temperature hot enough to completely decimate steel's structural integrity. If you were a potato, how would you like to be cooked and eaten? Baked and slowly. Reflecting on my time at university, I'd gone through a phase, probably when my brain was at its lowest capacity, of really enjoying bad movies. I discovered The Room, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Silent Night Deadly Night 2, The Stuff, Basket Case, and many, many more. It's typically the low-budget horror movies which are the most likely to be absolute stinkers, but I don't discriminate. I like to watch terrible movies of any genre. But my favourite of all is definitely Troll 2. This was the first movie that really opened my eyes to the potential of enjoying terrible movies ironically, and I absolutely adore it. And so my fascination continued, and I'd shop around in bargain bins, charity shops, 99p stores, and car boot sales, trying to find the most obscure garbage movies that I could, and I've amassed quite a collection, which is still growing every day, and so I decided to put this collection to use. I knew that I wouldn't want to appear on camera, as I just simply can't relax and be myself when I'm sat in front of one. It was going to take a lot of practice and potential embarrassment to get over this, and so I was going to need to create some kind of character to replace me on screen. So why a pizza? Now, I know some of you are probably going to be a little disappointed with the answer to this, but it's very simple really. I wanted to create something which was iconic and instantly recognisable, but also something that lots of people already like. So when I sat down to create my character, I started off as I always do by drawing some sort of rudimentary shape, and in this instance I'd drawn a triangle, and I slapped my face onto it and it just clicked. I'm a pizza slice. And yes, I do eat pizza, and no, it doesn't make me a cannibal because the pizza I eat isn't sentient and has no feelings or opinions. And considering that its whole purpose is to be eaten, I think it would be quite happy that I was assisting it in meeting with its destiny. If it could be happy, which it can't, because it's not alive. My favourite topping is probably chicken, and I'm sorry that's boring, but it's very versatile and goes with almost everything else, and so it's the one that I eat most frequently. And while I don't personally enjoy pineapple on pizza, as many of you were so keen to ask, I can't come up with an adequate argument against it. Some people claim that fruit doesn't belong on pizza, but tomato is a fruit, so that can f*** off. Other people claim that it's disgusting, but that's entirely subjective, and so I'm not going to condemn anyone on this premise. Anchovies, however, can get f***ed.
Interesting facts number 3.
When I was in high school, I used to work in a well-known popular pizza shop until I lost my mind and accidentally robbed the place, but that's a story for another day. What do you look like? This. Are you an actual pizza IRL? Yes. Are you a pizza furry? I guess so, but rather than a fursona, maybe this could be my pizzona, hey? What is the length and girth of your pepperoni? Well, I'm a magic mushroom pizza. I don't have any pepperoni. Is it true you hang 2 inches off the ground? Well, no, I'm not sure if you've ever seen me stand up before, but my tip is on the ground. Dick reveal when? Oh, these are all dick-related questions. Ha ha ha. You're not very observant, are you? I'd like to point out that apart from this excellent hat, I'm completely naked and have been this entire time. That's a sick hat. Where did you get it? Well, I actually made it myself. I've been considering making a few more if people are interested. It might be a bit soon to start trying to squeeze merchandise out for everyone, but I've got a few nice designs and ideas on standby for when the time is right. So now I had the idea and I had the character and everything else started falling into place. I was going to be a pizza slice, so I decided that all the other characters in this world should be food items too, and I began creating some other characters. Popcorn, hot dog, soda, all snacks which one might eat whilst watching a movie. I put together a colour palette and tried my best to stick to it, and bought the licenses for a few nice fonts that I thought suited the overall style I was going for. And then I built my own toolkit of assets and useful files to help me give everything a nice, consistent feel, and I reached out to some musical people to help establish the overall tone I was going for. I usually listen to a variety of things, from Code Orange when I'm feeling like I want to crush some Awesome Skulls to Tyler the Creator when I want to pretend that I know anything at all about rap music. But usually when I'm working, I tune into lo-fi hip-hop radio beats to relax/study to by Chilled Cow. It's easily the best music stream to help put me in a focused state of mind. Through this I discovered a producer called Potsu who makes some really awesome Eastern-inspired chill beats, and then digging through his work I discovered another producer called Lando. And the very moment that I heard his track Bedroom, I knew I'd found exactly what I was looking for. It had a perfect whimsical and nostalgic air to it, and I fell in love with the song as soon as I heard it. And thankfully Lando was kind enough to let me use this as the basis for the channel's theme. I then got in touch with one of my old pals from university, another music producer by the name of Himuro Mansion, who has a more gritty, disturbing style. And so the combination of the cutesy and nostalgic melodies of Lando with the guttural and abrasive tones of Himuro Mansion created a musical fusion which perfectly complements the direction I'd like to take with my creations. There have already been 3 different interpretations of the channel theme, which are regular, a super spooky version for Halloween, and a very merry festive version for Christmas. And this is something I'd like to continue to work into as the channel progresses. So now that I had all the elements that I needed to really start this project, the old ugly demon reared his head. There have been countless projects that I'd conceptualise, script, storyboard, design characters and locations for, be really excited about, and then out of nowhere the demon would appear and tell me,
"You're moldy. Your work sucks. I don't know why you waste your time with it. Why even get out of bed? Your work is a mess. You suck. I don't know why you bother. Why would you waste anybody's time with this garbage? Go wrap yourself in pineapple, you loser."
And in every other instance, I'd given in to the demon and relegated the projects to the tidy up folder on my desktop. This would have almost certainly happened again with Cynic Snacks if it was not for my lovely better half Soph. Now, the good boys, girls and misc amongst you would have seen Soph in an earlier video about overused sound effects. She's been the voice of reason behind the scenes, telling me when things are and need to be deleted or when my jokes aren't actually funny, which is pretty much all of them, and motivating me to keep working on this project while the demon looms over me and says,
"What's wrong with you? Your work is garbage. Just quit."
I promise you, without her intervention, I would most likely have never uploaded anything, and we wouldn't all be here now today listening to me waffle on. The soda chap who joins me on the sofa during Junk Film Review is my good friend Tom. We went to college together and have been buddies for many, many years, and he's been the #1 contributor to my terrible movie library. Tom was responsible for finding Alien Contagion, which became the topic for the very first episode of Junk Film Review. This is usually how the process works. The movie in question is found either when I'm wading through the endless junk in discount stores and bring something home to watch, or I receive a little treat in the post from Tom, who sends me all manner of garbage. Or I follow up on a solid recommendation. I'm currently on the lookout for subjects for the 2nd season of Junk Film Review, and I always look at your suggestions, so feel free to drop things in the comments. I read absolutely everything. Once I found a winner, I watch it through a few times to take note of all of the glaring inconsistencies and goofs and use this as the foundation for my script. I'll then flesh it out in an angry first draft and go over it a few times to inject some humour into it. I then record my VO so I can get the timings correct in the edit and start to sketch out any animated shots I need in Photoshop. I then work into the sketches and convert the line work into vectors so it can scale without looking like Then once the line work is all done, I take it back into Photoshop to colour and add any textures. I then take these assets and put them into After Effects, where I can set them up in a 3D environment, add lighting and shadows, and add any text, and animate all the shots for the video. Each animated shot usually takes a few hours to complete. Then I take the clips, animations and VO, chuck it all into Premiere and edit it all together. Then it's make the thumbnail, write the description and tags, upload the video, check that I haven't been flagged for copyright infringement despite the fact that all of my work is clearly protected by fair use laws, and I put hundreds of hours of work into each video for it to get claimed on the basis of a single soundbite, which makes up approximately 0.1% of the entire video. You YouTube with your bullshit content ID system. Then I go onto the socials and try to coerce people into clicking on the link to my new upload, and generally get ignored or lectured about self-promotion or told that my work is This is definitely the most difficult part about the whole ordeal, promoting yourself. I've tried many things, from being active in subreddits with the hope of one day being able to share a single link to my work without getting automatically downvoted to oblivion and called a prick, to paid adverts on Instagram, which were a massive waste of time and got no traffic at all. I even designed and had 1,000 flyers printed, went to Comic-Con London and spoke to hundreds of people who all assured me they would check my work out. And wouldn't you know it, a single kind soul actually followed through and subscribed to my channel. Thank you. I've even tried some underhand tactics, like reaching out to some much larger creators through Cameo. I thought by putting forward a small amount of cash I might actually get their attention, and if they weren't feeling it they could just reject the offer or ignore me. All I asked was for them to check out my work in the vain hope they might feel inspired enough to tell someone about it. And while some of them have been very complimentary and understandably cautious, Boogie decided to pretend like he didn't know how URLs worked, fobbed me off with some very generic comments, and ran off to Disneyland with my money, then started boasting on Twitter about how he makes a 6-figure salary. I make approximately $0 from YouTube, Boogie. Give me my $25 back, you f***ing crook. So, despite all of these miserable failures, there does seem to be a shining light in this story, and that is the kindness of other channels. I've been lent a helping hand from some more popular creators, whether it be through shoutouts or features on their channel, giving me sound advice and generally just being helpful and kind behind the scenes, or in some cases agreeing to help me out with a cheeky voice cameo here and there. I'm in the process of finding my feet on YouTube and will be for some time, but from what I've experienced so far this seems to be a very considerate and welcoming community, and I've been having a great time, so sincerely thanks to all of you. And in the spirit of keeping this kindness alive, I thought I'd take the chance to pass it on, as there are two creators I'd really like to give a mention to. Firstly, Super Spin Move. I first found this channel through the NewTubers subreddit and have been following him since pretty much the beginning. He's got a really great sense of humour and never fails to make me do a big belly laugh whenever I watch any of his videos. The quality of his work is great and it's always improving, and he definitely deserves way more eyeballs than he currently has. His subscriber count is criminally low compared to the quality of what he's creating, so please, I implore you, go and watch his stuff and send him some love. He really deserves it. Links to his stuff will be in the description if you can't find it. The second is Chrissy Diggs. Chrissy is a fantastic illustrator who has recently created a few awesome pieces of Cynic Snacks fan art. She's just launched her very own YouTube channel, and based off the quality and format of her first video, I can already tell that this is going to blossom into something incredible. So if you're more into the arty side of things, I definitely recommend you check her out. Links in the usual places. So yeah, I'm very satisfied with the point we're currently at. I've managed to build an audience 6 times more than what I was aiming for. Season 1 of Junk Film Review is complete, and I'm really happy with how it's gone. I think the overall quality of my work has been improving with each new video, and I've managed to bring together a small community of sincere and lovely people. And I'm in the process of now preparing all of the necessary pieces to start work on Season 2, and yes, I'm considering all recommendations for future episodes, so don't be shy, let me know if you find any bullshit films out there that you think deserve a little bit of a spotlight. I also intend to continue working on the Screen Peeves series, despite the fact that it's my least popular upload to date, as I'd already planned out the next few episodes and have been collecting clips for them for some time. It just takes a lot longer to gather the necessary elements to make videos in that series. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you all so much for all your questions, comments, and just generally being awesome, and huge thanks to my new patrons, Chrissy Diggs, Timo Grunenfelder, and Mitch. You guys have joined the ranks of benevolent beauties that are helping to keep this channel afloat. See you soon!